The number of refugees allowed to seek safety in Idaho could see a sharp drop due to President Trump's plans to reduce the national refugee cap to 18,000 per year. 6 on Your Side's Madeline White has the story on how members of Boise's refugee community and the rescue committee are reacting.
We could hear the shots at night, and in the morning there's like 3 bodies outside of my house.
Saad al-Badr says all safety was lost in his homeland of Iraq in the early 2000s, recalling what he says is his own near-death experience of being abducted for ransom.
I was taken in front of my son under the threat of guns and things, and he was like watching me all the way until they put me in a car and they drove.
Roughly 5 days later, his wife and son fearing the worst, he says he was released without torture by negotiation.
I was lucky.
But after that, he says there was only one choice left to make: to seek refuge in the United States.
I had to use that choice because I have no other choices.
The International Rescue Committee helped him in his resettlement to Boise, as they have with several thousand others.
One of the record numbers that was welcome under a Republican presidency was 142,000 people, and now we're looking at 18. I mean, the difference there is orders of magnitude.
On Thursday, President Trump announced his plan to cut the number of refugees allowed to enter the United States to an all-time low of 18,000 a year. This after recent boosted efforts to reduce immigration into the U.S., which, according to the State Department, is intended to alleviate pressure on authorities at the southern border.
Amazing to think, when we have more people than ever displaced due to war and persecution, that we would be shutting our door and making the ability for people to come in harder and harder.
Julianne says the impact of the newly cut capacity will be felt in Idaho. At one point, she says 1,300 refugees were welcomed to Idaho in a year. Now, she says that number has dropped to a little over 550 a year, and that decline could continue. This drawing concern in Saad al-Badr.
I mean, what are they going to do? Are we trying to help people or trying to increase victims?
Now, he says his son, who as a young man watched his father get abducted, is a graduate of Boise State, works at Micron, and
I've been promoted to be a grandfather shortly, so, oh yeah.
Madeline White, 6 on Your Side.
The proposed capacity comes into effect in the next fiscal year. The International Rescue Committee in Boise is urging Idahoans to support the GRACE Act, which would allow Congress to limit the president's ability to set a minimum threshold no lower than 95,000 refugees a year. As we